Today, we're diving into a story that really makes you think. It's all about a place called the Soul School, where a simple choice leads to some wildly different outcomes. A real mystery is about to unfold.
So picture this, day one. The school is absolutely packed. We're talking 6,000 students, a full house, just buzzing with potential. You know, a clean slate for everybody.
But then, fast forward just 2 short months, and this is what's left. Only 12 students. I mean, wow, that's a staggering drop.
So you gotta ask, right? This is the central question of the whole story. Where in the world did nearly 6,000 people disappear to? And maybe more importantly, what happened to them after they decided to leave? Let's dig in.
All right, so the first group to take off, they were called the Rabbits. And they basically chose to bail on the school's lessons because of fear. That one choice, well, it created a very, very specific kind of life for them.
Now listen to this. This is such a wild twist in thinking. This student doesn't see fear as a cage, but as a trustworthy friend. Can you believe that? They've completely rationalized their fear into a security blanket. But when fear is your best friend, your world just gets smaller and smaller until you're convinced hiding from life is the only option.
And this just perfectly shows what happens next. A life lived in fear becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy. All that constant anxiety just leaves them feeling hopeless, totally isolated. Their world literally shrinks down to the size of their apartment and stuff, possessions. They become a stand-in for real relationships. The crazy part is the fear they held on to ended up creating the exact dangers they were trying to run from.
Okay, next up we have the Believers. Now, their path wasn't about running from something, it was about clinging to something, a super rigid set of beliefs that they just refused to question. And that, as you'll see, led them down a totally different path.
Wow, this quote is incredibly telling, isn't it? The belief system isn't just about their own salvation. It's built on excluding other people. It literally props itself up by judging others, even, wishing for them to be damned. It's a worldview that absolutely needs an us versus them mindset just to function.
And here's the kind of reality that creates. Their social life just shrinks to include only people who think exactly like they do. Any hardship isn't seen as a chance to learn or grow, but just a test of faith. And their entire focus isn't on making life better now, but on just waiting for some reward in the afterlife. It's a life defined by waiting and by judging.
The third group, the Rebels, they went in a completely different direction. They threw out all the rules, not because of fear, not because of belief, but for what they saw as the freedom of total chaos.
I mean, listen to that admission. It's so stark. Chasing this idea of total freedom, of living with no rules, it led them straight to a life with zero safety or stability. The very chaos they wanted turned right back on them, making them vulnerable and forcing them to look for the one thing they rejected, the protection of a group, even if it's a mob.
And the consequences are just devastatingly practical. This isn't some cool philosophical rebellion. It's a life of just constant chaos. Owning anything becomes impossible. And the ultimate irony, the very system they fought against, like, a police station, becomes their last-ditch effort for food and shelter. Tossing out all the rules didn't bring freedom. It just brought a total breakdown of a functional life.
And then we have the Donuts. Their whole philosophy wasn't fear or belief or rebellion. It was just not caring. Total apathy.
Oof, this one might just be the most tragic outcome of all. It's a complete and total disconnection from any sense of purpose, from any inner life. The choice to just be apathetic, to say, I don't know and I don't care, leads to this deep, profound emptiness. An emptiness where the very idea of having a soul feels foreign. It's a life without meaning, and it's a life they chose.
So, the last group to leave was the Socialists. They picked a path based on this ideology of absolute, forced equality for everyone. But the reality they ended up creating, well, it came with some serious unintended side effects.
This quote really gets to the core of it. The individual is basically erased for the good of the collective. But that little phrase, seems to own, that's the key. It's a huge hint that this utopian vision of shared ownership might not be quite as neat as it sounds on paper.
And here's where we see how that system plays out. When no one is held responsible for anything, accountability just vanishes. The whole economic model doesn't work, which leads to artificial fixes like just printing more money.
And while they celebrate diversity to an extreme, it's all happening inside a system where individual responsibility has been completely dissolved.
Okay, so after seeing the paths of everyone who left, we have to go back to those 12 who stayed. They're called the seekers. And the big question, the crucial question is, what did they know that everybody else missed? Why did they stay?
It all came down to this really simple but incredibly profound question, asked by one of the last students, Evan. See, instead of asking why he had to be there, he asked what he could get out of it. And that is a total game changer of a perspective.
And man, when you put the two paths side by side like this, the contrast couldn't be more clear. On one side, you have the results of those who left: fear, judgment, chaos, emptiness. And on the other, you see what the seekers were after. They weren't focused on avoiding pain or pushing an ideology. They were all in on actively pursuing their own growth.
And this is the core philosophy that kept the seekers right there in their seats. They don't see life as this one single, scary event. They see it as a long-term curriculum, a school for growth. The goal isn't just to survive it, it's to master it, to become a higher, better version of themselves. It's a marathon, you know, not a sprint. And get this, just how clear was its vision for him? Evan had a list of 142 specific, distinct advantages to being at the Soul School. He wasn't just guessing. He had thought this through with incredible clarity. He really understood the value of it all. So at the end of the day, here's what it all boils down to. The students who left were all reacting. They were reacting to fear, to dogma, to rules, to responsibility. But the students who stayed, they were choosing to create. They understood that their reality wasn't just something that happened to them. It was a direct result of their choices and their mindset. And that really leaves us with one final thought. This isn't just some story about fictional students, is it? It's a metaphor for the choices that all of us make, every single day. Are we reacting to the world around us, or are we consciously creating the experience we want? Because your story, it's still being written. Which path are you on?